Hello dear friends, welcome to day 2 of painting quick and beautiful watercolor skies. Now here's the painting that we're going to try today. It's a beautiful pink cloudy sky. I just love the way it has turned out. So here's the reference image I came across. I wasn't really sure whether I'll be able to pull off those pink clouds. I gave it a try and I really liked it. And then I thought of adding that into this class because it's an unusual color combination and it's really pretty too. Anyway, let's have a look at the colors you will need and then let's give it a try. For this painting, you will only need 3 colors and I think they are quite obvious. For the sky, you will need pink and turquoise blue. Those are the 2 colors you will need for the sky. The turquoise blue I'm going to use here is from White Nights. We will use a medium tone for the sky and we'll apply that color around the clouds. Okay, so that's the kind of tonal value I will be using. Now the second color is pastel pink. This one is called Brilliant Pink. It is from Shinhan. If you don't have a pastel pink, just have a look at the color palette section. I have explained how you can create a pastel pink quite easily. Okay, so that's the second color you will need. Now there is one more color you will need for the sky, which is a mix of these 2 colors. So I'll just be mixing some pink with turquoise blue to create a shadow violet kind of a color. See that? So just to add some shadows and textures onto the sky, I will be using a mix of turquoise blue and pink. And here's the color you will get when you mix these 2 colors. The color can be a bit different according to the amount of pink or turquoise blue you're adding, and that's totally fine, don't worry about it. Now there is one more color you will need, which is Payne's Gray. To add those palm trees, you will need a darker tone. It could be black or Payne's Gray. Alright, so that summarizes the colors you will need for today's painting. Here is a closer look. You will need turquoise blue, pastel pink, and also Payne's Gray. I will quickly explain the steps that we will follow before we start. So first I'm going to start with turquoise blue. We'll apply that onto a wet background by leaving some shapes in between, and that will eventually turn into the clouds. And onto those gaps, we are going to apply some pink. Then we will introduce some shadows as well. Okay, so you can go with any kind of shape that you need for your clouds. It can be similar shape or a different one, that's totally fine. Once the sky is ready, we will use Payne's Gray and we'll add those palm trees onto the background to give it a more complete look. Okay, so those are the steps involved. Now let's give it a try. Okay, so my paper is ready here. Now before you start, you have to make sure you have the colors ready on your palette. You will need turquoise blue and pink. Those are the first 2 colors you will need. Okay, so keep them ready on your palette. And also have a rough idea about how you want to place your clouds, how big you want them to be, or what is the kind of shape you want to go with. Okay, so the prep is over. Now I'm going to start by applying a coat of water onto the entire sky. Don't add a lot. We just need a gentle coat of water. Make sure your brush is clean before you start applying water. And run your brush multiple times just to be sure the coat of water is even and it has reached everywhere. Okay, so my background is evenly wet. Now before you start, you have to make sure you have a paper towel next to you or a cotton cloth. So just in case if your paint is too watery, you can dab it on a paper towel and make it perfect. Okay, now let's start applying the paint. I'm going to use my size number 8 round brush and I'm starting by picking a medium tone of turquoise blue. Add some water and turn that into a medium tone. If it's too watery, dab it on a paper towel. Now I'm going to add some paint onto the sky, leaving some shapes in between. I'm starting from the top right corner and I'm leaving some space in between. So it is these white spaces which will eventually turn into pink clouds. So whatever kind of the shape you want, leave it that way. Okay, so I have one on the left and then I have another one on the right. You can modify the shape as you like. Now I'm going to bring that paint down and then I will add an irregular shape here. Then I will also leave some space at the bottom. Okay, so that's a kind of shape I have gone in with. You can modify it however you like. If you want to introduce some more paint in between, if you feel it's too light, you could do that as well. Okay, so that's the first step. I need to switch to pink before the background dries. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush. Then I'm going to switch to pink. Dab it on a paper towel and be sure it is clean. Okay, now I'm picking some pink paint on my brush. I will go with a lighter tone and I'm going to introduce that onto these in-between spaces. So simply add that in. That's the kind of tonal value I'm going with. Now when you're over here closer to turquoise blue, it will automatically create a violet color over there, and that is totally fine. It will end up looking like the shadow of the clouds. So it is actually a good thing while we are adding the paint, we are automatically introducing some shadows there. But there are chances your brush might have become a bit dirty. So dab it on a paper towel before you pick pink again. Okay, or you can wash it off. I'm adding some more pink over here. The background is still very wet. Now I'm going to add that over here. So onto that space we have in between, just add some pink paint. Simply add that in. As the background is still wet, they will nicely spread into each other, leaving a beautiful cloud. Don't put a lot of pressure. Simply add that in. Okay, so that's the second cloud. Now let's apply paint at the bottom as well. So whenever you're adding the paint, be very gentle. Don't put a lot of pressure. That will leave some brush marks. So use the tip of your brush and add in the paint. It looks like this part has dried a bit. So I'm just going to push that paint into the blue. Anyways, I'll be adding some shadows over here, so it doesn't really matter. You can add the pink paint on top of blue as well. It's not a problem. Okay, so we have some more area left here. Alright, so we have introduced pink everywhere. Now to give it more three-dimensional feel, we need to add some shadows using violet. So mix some turquoise blue and pink, and then keep on adding some shadows onto the clouds. We can add few at the bottom and also over here along the bottom side of the cloud. Okay, so mix up some turquoise blue and pink together and create a pastel violet. Here is how the color should look like. Now simply add that in along the bottom side of the cloud. The background is still wet, so just drop that in onto the background. Let's add few over here as well. Okay, you can add them however you want to. It doesn't matter. If you add more darker shadows, it will look more dramatic. If you go with lighter violet, it will look simple and minimalist. So it's your call. You can decide on how you want your clouds to be. Now I'm going to pick a slightly darker tone of the same color, and I will add that at the bottom again, and also a few over here. Okay, so wherever you have the clouds, you can introduce some shadows like this. You can spread that a bit into the blue part as well to give it a more natural feel. Okay, so that's how I have introduced all the shadows. Now it is looking a bit prominent, so I'm going to clean my brush. I will dab it on a paper towel. Then I'm going to pick a little of pink with the same brush. Just a little, not a lot. Again, make sure it is not too watery. Now with that paint, gently smudge these areas. Don't touch the top, leave it as it is. Okay, so gently smudge the paint over here to give it a softer look. Make sure you are not rubbing and scrubbing the paint too vigorously. Be very gentle. Okay, so that's how it has turned out. Now let's do the same thing over here. And I think the rest is looking quite good. Maybe we can introduce some more shadows there. I love the color combination, and that violet shadow is going very well together. Alright, so that's the sky. I don't want to overdo and ruin it, so I'm going to call it done. Now when the background dries up, the clouds are going to turn really soft and fluffy. and I'm really waiting for that. So let's take a short break and come back when this has dried completely. Alright, the background has dried completely and you can see how beautiful they have turned out. Now the next task is to add some palm trees, and for that I'm gonna pick some Payne's Grey. I will go with a darker tone, and the brush I'm using here is size number 6. Go with any of your smaller or medium size brush. Now the first step is to add a line. It can be a straight line or a slightly irregular line. That's the height of your palm tree. Okay, so towards the bottom you can make it slightly thicker, and towards the top it has to be a bit thinner. Okay, I'm making it a little more thicker towards the top. If you don't have Payne's Grey, you can also use black. You can add your tree wherever you want to. It doesn't need to be on the same location. You can add that onto the left or maybe towards the center. Okay, so I have added a line there. Now towards the top, I'm going to add some irregular shapes. We are adding that tree texture. So just add some irregular lines and some bumps on either side and make it look rough and messy. See that? We just need them on the top. Okay, so keep adding some lines onto either side and turn it into something like this. The kind of palm tree we are painting here is called fan palm. Now on the tip, I'm going to add some curvy lines, just some simple curvy lines. I'm picking more paint and I'm going to add 5 or 6 curvy lines. The first one goes over there. Now next to that, I'm adding another one. So in a similar way, you can add 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them. I have added 3, 4, 5. I think I can add one more towards the left. Okay, so I have added 6 lines. It can be 7 or 8, it doesn't matter. Now onto these lines, onto the tip, I'm going to add some messy lines. So onto either side, keep on adding some lines. They don't need to be perfectly shaped, it can be messy. Okay, now in a similar way, we need to fill up all the lines. Let's go the next one. So only on the tip, add these lines and leave half of it empty. That's the third one. So keep on adding these kind of messy lines and fill it up. This kind of palm tree is much more easier than the coconut trees. It's easy and it will look more realistic than the other one. And you can do it quite quickly as well. Maybe we can add one more line in between. I'm adding one there to make it look more dense. Okay, so that's a first palm tree. Now you can add more lines like this to make it look fuller. Okay, so this one is done. I think it turned out really beautiful. Now I'm going to add one more, maybe towards the left side, closer to this tree. I'm placing it over here. And this line is slightly irregular, not a straight line like the other one. And it is shorter as well. Okay, so that's the kind of height I'm going with. Now, just like I mentioned earlier, you can place your tree wherever you want to. You can go with a taller tree or a shorter tree. Just follow the same technique and add your tree wherever you like. Now I'm adding those irregular shapes onto the top and I'm making this part thicker. Now the next step is to add those curvy lines onto the top. You can add as many as you like. Then right after that, we need to introduce those messy lines onto the tip. And with that, we'll be done with our painting. Now it looks like a spider. We need to introduce those lines onto the tip to make it look like a palm tree. So this one's a very easy way to paint a palm tree. You can use it on your other paintings as well. You can paint some nice skies and add these trees. You can actually paint a bright blue cloudy sky with some white clouds and then paint the same tree in green. Use different tonal values of sap green when you're adding these palm leaves. and use burnt sienna or brown for the tree trunk. I think that will also be really beautiful. So yeah, give it a try if you're interested. Anyway, with this, we are done with our painting for day 2. Here is the finished painting. I just loved it. Now, if you want to add another tree, you could do that. Maybe onto this corner, you can add a tall tree. Alright, so that's all for the day. Now it's time to peel off the masking tape. And here is the finished painting. You can see those beautiful pink clouds. Lovely, right? It's a stunning color combination. So give it a try if you're yet to try it. And let me know if you enjoyed painting this beautiful cloudy sky.